Good morning once again, everybody. So, hopefully, this will be another quick one. We're going to focus on the hardest part of growing up, especially for the lefty types. All right. I do want to get this out of the way because, of course, if you've listened to any of my previous work, I'm very communistically inclined. All right. This is mostly because I know that going forward, like the strongest position that you can be in today is, within a large family unit or within some form of a communal setting. You want to be in a large group, ideally. All right. Because in terms of driving costs down, it's very effective. But we are going to start with this. So, of course, the lefty types will be more inclined to, they'll do their screeching and preaching, they'll do their spiel, all right? But the hardest part is realizing that a lot of people end up exactly where they belong, okay? You can call it heartless, but many people have done more than enough to deserve the pain and suffering that they deal with, all right? It's a brutal reality. But for instance, so there's a channel like Tweaker Geographic, and of course, drugs can absolutely be fun, but you can't necessarily tell me that all these people are innocent, okay? Because that's what the left, the traditional left would naturally default to is these are poor, disenfranchised people who got left behind by the system. And it's just like there are some, but eh, as far as the rest of them go, um, you've got other problems there. Some do fall through the cracks, but many others get to where they go by burning everyone who cared about them. Okay. And this is something that you can't overlook because, like, for instance, oh, there goes that note card. Um, for instance, I want to get the point across. There was a series of videos that I was looking into more recently. Homeless dude with an iPhone. All right. And he goes on his spiel and I'm listening to the story and then I drop down into the comment section and I start seeing multiple posts from people calling him out for his bullshit. And it's just like, oh, okay. What is his bullshit? That individual, um, well, I don't know if he was a part of a relationship or not, but he was a legitimate abuser of children. And instantly it's just like, oh, oh, oh. The left would prefer you not to know. All right. In a lot of cases, the left very much would prefer you not to know some of these people's backstories. Okay. But in the case of that individual, once you know it, you can't look past it. And it reminds you. All right. And this is probably the hardest part about, it's your come to Jesus moment if you are an honest to God leftist, that a lot of people do absolutely end up where they goddamn belong. All right. If you can justify in your head doing horrible shit, and then the consequences are, of course, you are ostracized and pushed out by society. All right. Like, for instance, I'm an asshole. I don't necessarily get along with everybody. All right. I, of course, like to troll. And I have, at least when it comes to some of the places that I've worked for, I have been a fabulous troll. But I at least have standards. All right. I at least have standards. I have a reasonable measure of decency. Okay. I cannot, you know, do I really have to explain it? Like there are people who are out there who will literally justify who can justify anything and everything because one, they either don't think, or two, they don't give a damn about the consequences of their actions. All right. Some of it is genetic, some of it is mental health issues, but it is what it is. There are a lot of people out there who get exactly what they fucking deserve. And no matter how much you try to help those people, because this is the thing, I know firsthand, secondhand, third hand, you know, what happens when you just blindly go out into the world and help anyone who comes along. All right. One, they take advantage of it 100%. But two, they go right the fuck back to the way of action, the method that they used to get to where they were. All right. Like, for instance, if you give a homeless dude a car, okay? If you give a homeless dude a car, just could be any car, could literally be any car, but you give a homeless dude a car. Now, there's a possibility that with that car, he starts living out of it. He gets a job. He's starting, well, in this economy, honestly, it's kind of a long shot, but he gets a job, starts, going to a gym to shower, do all the things, and then starts rebuilding his life. It's totally possible. But chances are what'll actually end up happening, even with the kickstand of support for a little bit, let's say you do 3 months of support, okay? What'll end up happening is the individual, the homeless dude, has a very high chance of not, well, it depends on state if you have any kind of yearly inspection, anything like that. But if it was in one of those states, then they'd probably let the inspection lapse, get a ticket based on that, and then from that ticket might refuse to pay the ticket, might end up in prison. The car gets found in some parking lot somewhere, and then it would naturally end up getting towed and then auctioned off, and then the whole kickstand of support that you provided disappears, or they decide to not pay their insurance, and then obviously the whichever state would start throwing a fit about that, and then they'd come to try to yoink it if they find out that said individual is driving without insurance, and then they're right back where they were once again. Or because they didn't have to work for it, oh, they shit, I forget the word, but they impress no value to it, alright? Because a lot of people are built like that. If they get it for free, they don't give a fuck about it, alright? So then you also have that possibility that, alright, if you gave them a leg up, all of a sudden, then because they just got it that easily, they don't care about it, which means they go out driving like an asshole, and then probably driving like an asshole, on a booze-filled rage, and, they either end up, getting caught and getting a DUI or crashing into, I don't know, a family fucking leaving a park or something, who the hell knows? Or they just crash it immediately and boom, it was a useless pursuit. All right. All of those different, and there's many more, but all of those different possibilities are entirely viable because no matter how much you want to, no matter how much you would want to see yourself in some people, um, if you go out into the world and you try to help people without getting a solid idea of who they are, why they're there, um, and more so like what kind of person they actually are. Okay, because here's another example. There was a homeless dude who was given, I think, I want to say he was given like $100,000. I forget if it was a lottery or a handout, but I think it was part of an experiment to see what would happen if you just gave homeless people money. And he ended up in an apartment. He was starting to rebuild his life. Conveniently, a female came along, came into his life. He then bought that female a car, a brand new car. So over $50,000 of the 100,000 that he got, he put into that car. And then in short order, he burnt through the rest of the money. And then the girlfriend left him, and he was right back on the streets again. All right. Some people, all right. Now, when I say this, I don't necessarily like saying this because it's fucking brutal, but some people do deserve the suffering. All right. That's it. There's no other way to go about it. There's no other way to say it. Some people do deserve to get kicked in the nuts every single day because they refuse to learn and they refuse to be responsible and they refuse to do the things that they should do. Okay. That is the worst part. If you are a lefty, that is the worst part of getting older. And it's part of, the lefty beliefs, all right, when it comes to the standard split with American politics. That's where the lefty beliefs start to fall off and when you start to become more conservative. Because if your option is to throw money into a hole and light it on fire, all right, dump gasoline on it and light it on fire, or do something productive that will benefit you and other people, all right, at least the people who are willing to play the game, then boom, what makes more sense? Put it into productive asset, put it into productive industry. A lot of people will make the argument that, you know, when you look at how Western civilization is set up, of course, there is the obvious connotation to the fact that it is essentially a plantation. Okay, it's a plantation economy where the people are the managed resource. Okay, a lot of people hate that justifiably, and it's not exactly fun realizing that you are literally a cog in the machine and that your life and your labor, mostly your labor, is what the system cares about and it wants to work you nonstop. What people do miss in this side of the equation, this side of the looking glass, is that the reason why we have systems of enslavement like this, all right, if you want to describe it as such, the reason why we have these systems is because if you didn't, people would do nothing. You don't know that? No, 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 people would do nothing. If you go back to, the summer of love, quote unquote, you look at Chaz and Chop and all the autonomous zones that they tried to set up. They tried to get farming going. All right. They tried to get some actual agriculture going and it failed. All right. The reality is, what the large part of what separates rich from poor is the fact that the rich create systems to deal with not just a handful of people, they create systems that can be spread into largely infinity. All right. At least conceptual infinity to deal with all of the people. All right. The wealthy create systems. The people who are in control create systems that can be broadly applied and legally enforced. All right. All you have to do is create a reasonable system. All right. You create the game board and then you invite people to play the game. Okay. That's how the entire economic structures end up turning out the way they do. If you do not have some way to actually get people to do anything, the majority of people won't. All right, and I mean, it's a sick way to justify it. It really is, but honestly, it's the truth. If you do not, if you just let people go off and do their own thing, we'll end up, picking berries out of our ass cracks. All right. The majority of human beings, like, this is the thing. When going back to Carlin again, I find myself referencing Carlin a lot recently, but you know, look around and realize that half of the people you see are dumber than a box of fucking rocks. And then the other half are even dumber than they are. And it's just like, yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. The majority of people, at base level, you got to deal with human laziness. All right. You have to deal with the fact that human beings, for the most part, because we've been especially because we've been so integrated into this system, human beings don't know what to do without it. All right? Then like the only you look at the AI crisis that is starting to unfold now. You've got millions of jobs that are just gone and gone forever. All right. These were jobs held by largely office workers, but of course you have the tech people who are getting purged, and you have increasingly they're trying to push drivers out of business. And of course, you have Hollywood mostly smoked and useless because why the hell would you pay just millions, all right, to have an actual actor show up and, do a movie or something or a show when you can just license their image and have an AI just bootstrap put them into a scene, all right? You don't have to do a billion takes. You just have to, you know, but with all those jobs gone, especially the easiest jobs gone, there's no place for a lot of people anymore. And of course, jobs are drying up in the economy. I won't lie to you about that. It's not exactly easy an easy process, and it's not a good prospect to try to get another job in this economy. So part of the issue is, well, if the system does not, because of course jobs are kind of important. For the last over 50 fucking years, it's been get a job. All right. What do you do when there are no jobs? What do you do when there are no jobs? Well, we know what the majority of people are going to do, and that is absolutely nothing. They're not creating their own industries. They're not creating their own companies. They are sitting there. The vast majority of people are sitting back waiting for somebody to save the day. All right. They're waiting for Bernie Sanders to come out with another video talking to AI executives and blah, 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 blah. And they're going to wait for Washington to crank out the UBI. Honestly, I think the UBI is guaranteed because of it, but there's no guarantee that UBI will ever become a thing. Nobody knows how this is going to work out. Nobody knows. All right. But what we do know is that the standard economic model, the standard system that we've been working on, is not going to work anymore. It's not going to apply to the majority of people anymore, which means if you want to retain any kind of productivity going forward, essentially all these people need to start businesses. But unfortunately, a lot of these people can't necessarily be trusted to start businesses. this is the sad part of it. Um, some people do legitimately have IQs and intelligence quotients that are so low that you can't even trust them with a box and a box cutter. All right. You do have people that are so zombified. All right. Whether they started that way or whether they were prescribed enough pharmaceuticals to be made that way. You have a lot of people who are so brain dead that no matter what opportunity, all right, no matter what the opportunity is, they can never actually, make anything happen. All right. Just because they can understand the concept of a car payment and a mortgage and bills, but they can't necessarily understand how to do paperwork to start a business. And honestly, and how to actually handle inputs, outputs, payables, receivables. They, they, normal people, a lot of normal people, quote unquote, they don't want anything to do with a business. They don't want to they just want to work for somebody else. They want to work for somebody else and exist. A lot of people have absolutely zero motive and initiative to try to start their own thing. Like you've got tons of people who will, whine and complain that they're broke, all right, and that they're always broke and that their life sucks because they're broke, but they won't do a single fucking thing to change it, all right? And especially considering, our position, we can give advice to anybody on nearly anything. Of course, there are some subjects that we can't touch, but we can provide advice and support to most people. But if they do nothing with it, it's useless. Okay. And the majority of people, unfortunately, are prone to just sit on their ass and wait for somebody else to save them. All right, they're sitting there waiting for the government to save them. They're sitting there waiting for something else, somebody else, to do the work of. You just got to sit there like, good luck, good luck. Because honestly, it's like if you can honestly wait, if you can honestly wait in hopes that the government is going to come to the rescue. Good. Honestly, I can't really say anything other than good luck. I mean, if you can wait as long as the government can drag their fucking heels, I don't know. I don't know. I'll be waiting a long fucking time. Long fucking time. Regardless, we've gotten very much off course here, but it is a thing. Whether it comes to the economic model, when it comes to Keynesian economics, um, when it comes to what actually motivates people, and the fact that, like, here's a perfect fucking example. So there are tons of people out there, like the women who like to fight, and the guys who will literally kill somebody else, because their girlfriend was getting looks from somebody, or at least claims she was. There are people like that. There are people like that, like people who are incredibly insecure, people who are willing to throw their entire lives away over the words of, over the vapid words of some hoochie. All right. There are dudes who will absolutely destroy their lives for that shit. And it's just like, bro, bro, I gotta say it like that, bro. Hole is everywhere. Good God. What the fuck? But it's a thing. People are not, the majority of people aren't that smart. They're not that smart. They are not. well put together. The majority of people, honestly, I do wonder sometimes, how the fuck do you people like you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder. When Coof happened and the toilet paper disappeared, you're sitting there wondering, "Oh my god, I didn't know these people could manage to wipe their own ass." Right? Because there's a lot of people who are honestly, you you see them, you might not think it, but you hear them, and you sometimes you just see them fucking whiling out in public, and you're sitting there like, "The fuck is wrong with you? You fucking dumbasses. What the fuck?" You know? It's even like that with the fucking road rage now too, you know? Like, there was a video floating around of a dude who essentially, road raged and ended up shooting into another dude's vehicle and killed his son because of it. That didn't need to happen. That didn't need to happen. But, what was it? I think it was, Uncle Tim's Rants and Reviews, which, of course, you should, check out his channel as well. But I was watching one of his videos the one day, and he's just talking about it like people are wiling out, and it's just people are crashing out, and it's just like, yeah, yeah, they are, and some of these people are too stupid to help themselves. That's the truth of it. This is largely the biggest issue with the system. The system was largely built around keeping people who weren't necessarily gifted, keeping them alive, all right, and propping them up. The problem is we're moving into the world where if AI is honestly going to be a thing, um, it's kind of hard to justify the existence of people who aren't trying to do anything, whose intelligence is so cripplingly low that they're going into the future, they're going to provide absolutely nothing towards the global benefit of society. All right. And capital, of course, because capital is tied into all of this. It's part of the slavery. But there are a lot of people out there who literally can't be helped. And the question is, long term, what the hell do you do with these people? What do you do with the people who, if they weren't working, would be just pumping out kids left and right? What do you do with all of the people who legitimately they're not going to do anything with their lives? Absolutely nothing. They're just going to exist. They're going to eat, piss, shit, do their thing. They're going to be a life form. They're just going to continue on, and they're not going to pick up a hobby. They're not going to get good at mathematics. They're not going to, they're not even going to know their own history. These people are just lemmings to, you know, you know, it's it's difficult. It's difficult, especially because once from where we started, once you understand that not everybody can be helped and that a lot of people end up exactly where they fucking deserve to be, and a lot of people get exactly what they fucking deserve. You you can't you can't look past it once you honestly understand it, once you deal with enough people, once you see enough bullshit. um Especially if you've ever gone out and tried to help somebody. Okay. um you know damn well you know damn well that if you if you just give yourself freely and try to help the world, all right, you will get taken advantage of and will gain nothing in a lot of cases, all right? And especially when it comes to lefty women who constantly, preach that we need bigger social programs. It's just like you do realize that you're throwing Like, it's a feel good for them. It's part of the reason why they keep doing it. It's a feel good. They want to feel good about themselves. But the reality is, you know, like for instance, you can prop up the hood, you can prop up the ghetto as long as you want, but you're not helping them get out of the ghetto. You're just perpetuating the crisis. All right. If you want to honestly give people a leg up, just giving them free money is not going to do it. All right. You have to shift attitudes. You've got to actually get people educated. You have to actually get people moving and doing things. All right. It doesn't work too well. Like, there is the imperative drive to be able to fucking eat. All right. Now, if you get people into the structure, all right, and you can get them employment, and you can get them on the treadmill of life, all right, within modern civilization, then you can absolutely um, do quite a lot of good. But just handing people welfare checks doesn't exactly do it. Okay, because then people are just inclined mostly to sit on the couch and, you know, eat chips all day and screw, and then you end up with 6 billion kids extra on top of the already however many kids you end up having as a global civilization. You end up with a whole fuckload of children, and they get born into the same dire straits. No job opportunities, no future. Education is shit. You know, having to go into a school with metal detectors. All right, that's what you end up with. All right. I don't know where the hell I'm going with this now, but I'll end it here. If you like and appreciate the video, like, favorite, sub, share, do all the things, ring the bell, ding the bell, tick the bell, do all the things to your heart's content to the bell. Leave a comment, hype it if it comes up, and if you're interested in writing content, check out the Substack in the description box below. And if you're interested in personal or business consulting, stop by www.spadesconsulting.com without the dash, and I will see you all in the next one.